What is scope? Now, scope can be tricky, but if you know what you're doing, it's not that bad. Scope is where you can access a variable or a function. Well, let's take a look at some code. All right. Now, the issue is we do have functions, and we often have nested functions. So let's make some. Function outer and function inner. Woohoo! Okay, so if we declare a variable inside here, var test is equal to Dan, semicolon, we can access that variable here, zog test. But we cannot access that variable from outside this function. Okay, so we cannot access the variable there. We cannot access the variable here. We cannot access the variable here. Okay, so in other words, from outside here, we are not allowed to reach in to inner functions and access a variable that is declared there. Same with function names. For instance, nothing would happen here until we run these functions. So if I run the outer function like that, I can do that. Oops. I can do that. No problem. But I cannot from here run the inner function. Okay? Regardless of whether I run the outer function. Okay? Because the inner function is declared inside this outer function. And I'm not allowed to reach into that function and use something that is declared inside it. But the opposite is not true. So it works the opposite in when you declare things outside here. So if I declare something here, var size equals 7 or 8, I can certainly access it here, zog size, and that's just fine. And I can access it here too, here and here, no problem, because I can sit inside a function and reach out of the function to something that's declared outside. So something that is declared outside is available within functions, but something declared inside functions is not available outside. All right, hopefully that is clear. Now, we didn't see that break. Should we take a look at it breaking? Let's see, I've got too many things here. Let's just calm down and try one. There's the variable test. Let's see if we can access that from here. Zog test. Okay, so now I'm trying to reach into this function and grab that variable test, and it won't let me. So if we save this and run it, ooh, a blue screen of death, blue screen of death, F12, reference error, test is not defined. Now, it doesn't even matter if I run these functions. Shall I run these functions? Just to show you. We'll run the inner function here, inner. And we will run the outer function here, outer. So we're allowed to run this outer function. It will run this. And when it runs this, it declares that, and then it calls it. So we'll get a var test Dan, it will be there, but when I zog test, we cannot reach in and grab its value. So we save that and refresh here. Test is not defined, as mentioned. Now, if we were to declare test outside of here, var test, like this, that would be fine, as long as we don't put the var test there. So now what happens is this. When this runs, we declare the var test. We run the outer runs. It declares the inner function, and the inner runs. When the inner runs, we get to this point, and it sits here and it says, okay, I'm going to put Dan in test. Do I see a var test here? No, I do not see my own variable called test. So I will look in outer. Do I see a test declared in the outer? No, I do not. So it keeps going back and it comes back to here. Do I see a test declared in this scope? Yes, I do. Therefore, it puts Dan inside that variable test. Just because you leave off the var doesn't mean that it makes a global variable. It might make a global variable, but what it does is it keeps looking outside the scope to its parent scope. And is it declared there? Yes. Then that is where it will place Dan. So now when we zog test, it won't give us an error. It will say Dan. And we refresh here and it says Dan. Okay. Now if we did not have a variable declared there, it would still work. It would still say Dan. Should we try? Test, refresh there, Dan. And what's happening here is it looks for a variable called test in here. Nope. How about in here? Nope. How about in here? Nope. And we're within a function, so it now goes out to the global scope. How about in here? Nope. So what happens is it says, oh, I've reached global scope. I'll just make a global variable called test. And this is allowed to access that global variable because remember, from within a function, we're inside this function, we're welcome to reach outside to get something that's been declared outside. And that's what's happening. All right. Is there anything else that we need to see here? I think that's good. We didn't prove that we could access size within here. Shall we do that? Now we're right in the middle and we can zog size. So we've declared size out here and it's all right for a function to reach out and get something that's been declared outside. So we'll be fine zogging size. And a zog is like a console.log, by the way. And there's the size 8. Great. I think as long as you remember that you are not allowed to reach into a function and access something that's declared in that function. That's a no-no, a slap on the hand. But you are, from within a function, you're allowed to reach outside that function to something that is declared outside, whether that be a var or a function. Okay, I'm Inventor Dan Zen with a what is here at zimjs.com. Ciao, have a great day.